All right, in this session we're going to look at a few more oaks and then move on to some of the maples. The first oak that we are going to start with is known as the turkey oak. Okay, the scientific name is Quercus laevis. As you can see, the turkey oak here, the big reason it gets its name, or a good way to remember it, is that it is shaped like a turkey's foot. So a turkey's foot has three main fingers. You can see this turkey oak has those three main fingers as well. The turkey oak is going to have 3, 5 to 7 deeply divided bristle tip lobes. So you can see the bristle tips here. Typically it's easier to see with the 3 that make it look like a turkey's foot, but it could possibly have 5 lobes as well, or even 7. Okay. Another thing about the turkey oak, if you look here, you can see that the petiole, the stem that connects this leaf to the stem, is twisted. So it has a twisted petiole, which makes the leaf look like it kind of twists while on the stem. So that petiole that connects to the main stem is actually twisted. Okay, so turkey oak, Quercus laevis, shaped like a turkey's foot. It's got those bristled tips with a twisted petiole, shiny and smooth on the top, and a little bit more pale on the bottom. Its scientific name, Quercus laevis, laevis meaning smooth. So that's one good way to remember the turkey oak. We have the scarlet oak. The scarlet oak's scientific name is Quercus coccinea. Okay, scarlet is really skinny, is the way I like to refer to her as. When you look, you can see that the midrib, there's not much leaf there. It has very deep sinuses, or deep spaces in between these 5 to 7 lobes. It's going to be very dark and shiny on the top, a little bit more pale on the bottom. Of course, you can see this is a real nice and healthy looking scarlet oak here. But those deep sinuses help differentiate it between many of the other things. It's going to have a reddish fall color. It's going to have a very long petiole, as you can see here. Okay, so that petiole is going to connect it to the main stem. Okay, leaf's going to be around 3 to 6 inches long and 2 to 4 inches wide. Okay, so Quercus coccinea, the scarlet oak. All right, so let's move on to some of the maples now. Okay, the first one up is going to be the red maple. Red maple, the scientific name is Acer rubrum. Rubrum is a Latin root for red. Okay, so the red maple has very nice reddish fall colors. That's kind of how it gets its name. All right, the leaves and limbs on all maples are opposite. Okay, so you can see that these leaves and the stems there, they branch out opposite of one another, whereas the other type would be alternate, where one stem branches here and then on up, a stem would branch off on the other side. That would be referred to as alternate. So the maple leaves are all opposite. When you're looking at red maple, it's going to have 2 to 5 lobes, but most configurations you're going to look at on this are going to have 3. So the big 3 are RED for red maple. And again, it's known for its brilliant, deep scarlet foliage in the fall of the year. Another thing to note about the maple, which these haven't quite come out all the way, but eventually these buds will come out at the tips here, and they'll be really nice and rounded. Okay, the red maple does look similar, and people will confuse it with sugar maple. So when looking, you can look at that bud, and the red maple will have a rounded bud, whereas the sugar maple will have a very pointed bud. So that's red maple. Acer rubrum. Up next, an easy maple to identify, also very popular in landscape plantings, is the silver maple. The silver maple has a lot of the times a larger leaf than the red maple. And when you look at it, you can see that it's going to have, again, the similar configuration to red maple, but the lobes are going to be a lot deeper. The sinuses are going to be deeper in between the lobes, and the lobes are going to be longer. They'll have 3 to 5 lobes that are roughly 4 to 6 inches long. The other thing about the silver maple, as you can see, is the underside has a silvery tint, thus how it gets its name. Scientific name for silver maple is Acer saccharinum. Okay, so that's Acer saccharinum. It has and of course all the maples have those helicopter type fruits. Red maple being smaller, sugar maple has a larger fruit that when you drop it, it spins down like a helicopter. But the fruit on this one is going to be almost an inch long, whereas the red maple might be half that. Okay, so brilliant yellow in the fall, sometimes even red and orange. Really nice looking tree in the landscape or in the wild. A lot of kids say that it looks like a snowflake when they go to identify it. But those silver undersides will really help in identification of the silver maple. Okay. The last maple we're going to look at here is the sugar maple. Sugar maple is referred to as Acer saccharum, as far as the scientific name goes. The leaves are 3.5 to 5 inches in length. It's going to have around 5 lobes. Okay. The big thing about the sugar maple, as a lot of people know, is it's popular for making maple syrup. Okay. So the sugar maple is going to have a more pointy bud, as you can see right here, this younger leaf and bud coming in, it's more pointed, where again, the red maple will have more of a rounded shaped bud. So red, rounded, and here is sugar, it's going to be pointed, the bud. Okay, the fall color ranges from a bright yellow through an orange to like a fluorescent red-orange. So all the maples, very popular for their fall color, very popular for kids as far as the little helicopters that they like to play with. So again, let's look at these and make sure you have these down. We started with this one, referred to as the turkey oak. Next one, known as the scarlet oak. All right, and then this specimen here, when you look at the underside, pretty easy. Silver maple. And then we had the red maple. And last but not least, with the pointy bud like we just discussed, the sugar maple. All right, that wraps it up for this session.